The cabin had stood for years on the edge of town, too broken for most to care about. But for a drifter who had grown weary of sleeping beneath the stars, even a shack with holes in the roof was worth the 50 cents he paid. With a small sack of belongings, he pushed open the creaking door, dust rising like ghosts of those who'd passed before. He thought he'd found nothing more than silence and emptiness, but as the days stretched, unease began to settle in. At night, when the wind whistled through the broken boards, he heard sounds that weren't the wind, soft sobs, faint rattles, and what seemed like chains dragging against wood. At first he tried to dismiss it, convincing himself the cabin simply creaked like any old place. One evening, lantern in hand, he searched the barn where hay lay scattered in thick piles. He heard it again, chains. With trembling hands, he pushed aside the straw, revealing eyes staring back at him. A young woman, thin and pale, shackled to the floor, her wrists raw from iron restraints. Her voice, hoarse but pleading, broke the silence. "Please, don't leave me." The cowboy stood frozen, his heart hammering in his chest. He had thought he'd bought nothing more than rotten wood and hay. Instead, he'd uncovered a secret that would bind his life to hers in ways he never imagined. The cowboy could have walked away. It would have been the safer choice. Whoever had left her there in chains might return, and he had no right to risk himself for a stranger. But as he looked at the bruises on her wrists and the hopelessness in her eyes, something inside him stirred. Without hesitation, he smashed the rusted lock, breaking the chains that had held her prisoner. The young woman collapsed into his arms, trembling yet clinging to him as though he was the only anchor she had left in the world. He carried her back into the cabin, wrapping her in his blanket, giving her water and bread. For the first time in years, she tasted kindness. As the days passed, she told her story. She had been sold, hidden, and forgotten, left as nothing more than a possession beneath the hay. She had prayed for rescue, but hope had withered long before he came. Now, each day at the cabin gave her strength and, slowly, trust. The cowboy, who once sought only a roof and rest, found himself watching her smile return. The shack that had been nothing more than wood and dust became a place of warmth. Together they repaired the roof, cleared the fields, and built something far greater than shelter. A home. What he had bought for pennies was now priceless.